it looks like my flight's waiting for me. That's awful nice of them. So let me go ahead and call the crew chief and have them pull chocks. So F8, chocks, remove please. And I need to pull the throttle back to idle. I knew they were not going to be able to comply. That occurred to me right as I hit the button. Okay, let's go wheel chocks, remove, F2. Okay, copy, and the chocks will be coming out right now. Okay, there we go. So let me push it back up, get the generator back on. Let's go ahead and taxi on out. Now, it said runway 24. I know my flight is going to taxi back all the way to the other side of the airfield. I'm just going to, if I can get in front of my flight, let me do a quick brakes check. Okay, working just fine. If I can get in front of my flight, and I hope they do wait for me here, I'll just go ahead and take off and orbit while they taxi all the way down to the end of the ramp. I think they're going to allow me to cut them off here. I hope they do at least. Okay, so just differential braking and just lightly tapping the braking lever on my stick when I need to turn. Now I just need to think ahead and cut this off before I turn too much. Differential braking to the left. There we go, just fine. Okay, now I've got the rest of my flight taxiing behind me. Okay, so we'll just cut a left right here and get on the takeoff roll. I might make this like a rolling takeoff and just kind of take the take all the checks as good. If I can time this right, okay, I've just got to time it to put in opposite deflection. Okay, good to go. Okay, let's go ahead and run it up. I'll watch the gauges as I do so. We'll get airborne. Actually, I missed something there. I was supposed to have gone flaps down. I'll make this a flaps up takeoff. No big deal. Okay, so there we go. Good engine instruments, good temperatures. I'm looking for a little faster than last time because of the tanks. I'll rotate it about 190. Okay, rotate. Let me just pull the nose up. Okay, that is a little bit harder. Flaps down and with extra weight, so I'm just going to hold it right there and allow it to fly itself off of the runway. Let me go gear up. Okay, lights out. Gear coming up, and pull the throttle in just a touch so I don't overspeed the flaps. Oh, never mind, it was the flaps down, so all I need to do is get the gear up, and okay, I've got 3 red lights. I can hear them lock. I'll go back to neutral, and I'll lock the gear lever. Okay, that actually felt pretty good. It was a little bit more back pressure required, and there's that indicator. That's actually that confused me last mission because that's in this case, would be the inner marker beacon. Now you can see on my navigation needle that I'm flying directly at the outer marker, and once I overfly it, you should see this swing back around to the 180. That's what I hope happens at least. Otherwise I'm going to be very, very confused. So as I overfly it, I should get the marker light on. There we go, and this should swing around. Look at that. I got lucky. Something actually is working for me the first time I've tried it. Okay, so I'm overhead the marker, and I just need to either turn left to 083 for 124 kilometers, or just orbit here over the field, and I think that's what I'll do. I'll let my flights back taxi down the parallel taxiway, and they'll be taking off on runway 04, and I'll just kind of pick them up once they do take off. But while I'm here, now, I know that the navigation off of this marker is working. Now, at 124 kilometers out, will I be able to pick up the marker at Krasnodar, which is at 303? Well, no time like the present. Let me see what kind of range we can get. I know that I can come back to this one and identify it fairly easily, but let me plug in a little bit of nose-up trim just to keep me not flying into the ground. Okay, now 303, I need to go to the 150 to 310 band, and I need to go to the antenna position on that. I hope that doing that out of sequence didn't mess with anything that I would rather it not have messed with. Okay, so that's in the antenna position. Now I just need to tune for 303, which is going to be 290, 310, right there. Now, 303 is the inner marker at Krasnodar. I don't have a Morse code for the inner markers, only the outer markers. So this one, I'm just going to have to kind of deduce by where the needle points, whether or not I'm on the right one. So I've got the needle going back to the right. I'm expecting it to be, at this point, exactly 083. So we'll just have to see where this needle stops. It stops at 060. That is promising, but I'm not buying that. It should definitely be closer to, or should have been closer to, actually no, I stand corrected there, because this isn't heading, this is relative bearing off of my aircraft. So what I need to do is fly a course of 083, and assuming that this is the right beacon, it would be at 0. So, okay, so if I fly a reciprocal from 083, which is going to be, yeah, you aviators are probably telling me exactly what that is. I'm just going to do this the easy way and let the gauge come around till the tail is pointing at 083. And I'm flying off of instruments here for a second. So right here, this needle should be at, yeah, 180. That's not 100% confirmation that I'm on the right beacon, but that makes sense. I've got the selector in the right place for 303. I've got the signal strength high. I've got the pointer pointing in the appropriate direction. So I think that I can safely assume, and well, not safely assume, but I can assume. I wouldn't trust myself in bad weather off of that, but I can assume for now that that's the correct beacon. So I've still got my flight coming on around and getting into position. So I'm just going to tool around here, have fun flying. So I'll see you in a second once my flight gets airborne. Okay, and I'm just still flying around the airfield. I'm going to try to time this so that I can pick 2 up when 2's on the takeoff roll and just kind of tuck in off of 2's wing. And, well, something interesting just happened there. As I went below a certain altitude, I got a burst of static. I think what happened there is I lost a line of sight on the Krasnodar inner beacon. So, okay, but anyway, yeah, I was going to try to time this so that I could pick 2 up and tuck in off of 2's wing when it's off the takeoff roll. Let's say 2's rolling. And this is what I always loved about the training flight, or the training squadron for F-117s, because the way they would work on the first flight or first takeoff for an F-117, the T-38 would take off first and just do a little circuit one time around the airfield, and then it was timed in such a way so that the T-38 would be on the wing, kind of like this, as the 117 was on the takeoff roll. So you would have the instructor in the T-38 just kind of observing and talking the F-117 pilot who soloed on the first F-117 flight every time. There were no 2-seaters. And then would just kind of tuck in off the wing right when the aircraft got airborne. It was always neat to see because of the timing and the way that it worked out. It was always... the best view was always from the EOR if I was working that. But anyway, it's kind of neat. Coming around one more time, and there's 3 on the takeoff roll. And I'll do the same thing for 4. I'll just come around here and, well, no, I don't think I'm going to make it in time, but yeah, it's always something to do. You know, whenever you're in a flight sim, you think there's nothing to do, or you think that, oh, I'll just time accelerate ahead from here and go do something else. There's always something you could be doing, whether it's just flying around like this, trying something neat, or playing with one of the systems. So a person, you know, I could see a person getting bored if they didn't know what to do, and that's why I try to just show everything that I do, to show that they're, you know, depending on your point of view, or depending on what you're trying to get out of it, that, I mean, there's no reason to ever get bored in a flight sim, even if you think that there's nothing to do and there's nothing going on. Okay, so here comes 4. And yeah, very cool. 4 is airborne. And from here, it's going to be 083 for 124 kilometers. And I've got my electronic E6B up right here. So let's just say, for example, I fly at, say, 600 kilometers per hour, and that'll be true airspeed, and I'll have a second needle up here that'll give me true airspeed that I can use to better navigate off of. But assuming 600 kilometers per hour, 124 kilometers, it should be 12 minutes 24 seconds to this NDB. So I need to fly, or actually I think it was to the field. I didn't measure NDB to NDB, I was just going to do it kind of visually field to field. So 083, which would be right about there, so I could push the throttle up so I get 600 kilometers per hour. And then if I wanted to, I could just sit here with a stopwatch. Let me kick it off right here. And I'll have the chronometer running, and if I just fly that speed, I'll know that I'm going to overfly the field in 12 minutes 24 seconds, or actually probably about 12 minutes right now, as we're a little bit away from the field. Okay, so I've got my flight in back of me somewhere forming up. I'm sure they're back there, although I don't have viz on them right now. Oh yeah, there they are, forming up off my right wing. Okay, gotcha. So, let me see, 083, still on a good course, and I can verify that by the, well, my magnetic compass is a little bit askew there. But yeah, I think I'm still doing okay. Now, okay, so I had the static kick in, so I think I have a good walk on this beacon once again, and it's telling me that I need to come just to the right. So I just want to line this up so that it's at 0, and that'll have me flying directly at it. Okay, yeah, good enough. It looks like your bank angle does matter here, so that kind of kicked from a little bit too far right to a little bit too far left. So I'll level out right here, and that should center it right back up. Or, yeah, good enough. That it doesn't have to be perfect for what I'm doing here, especially in good weather like this. So now it's just a cruise out to Krasnodar, so I'm just going to fly straight and level for a while and play around with some more stuff. I'll come back if anything interesting comes up, or I reach Krasnodar, whichever occurs first. Okay, and just continuing on, it's been a couple of minutes. I've got Krimsk Airfield down there to my right. I've still got my flight information, but what I want to do now is I had another beacon out there to my right, 662, but it's also set up to channel 3 on my automatic channel selectors up here. So I have 3 switches, 1, 2, and 3. So what I think we'll be able to do here is turn on channel 3, and assuming that I'm in the right mode, it will automatically track on that station. Let me bring the kneeboard up one more time and just see if there was anything I was missing there. I think it's that simple. I think it's just simple as turning the switch on and it automatically switches over. But there might be another switch I need to throw. Be right back. Okay, and yeah, and referencing Chuck Al's guide one more time, yeah, it should be that simple. I just switch the switch up, and that's assuming that I have all the switches configured out over here. I have the system turned on. I have this in compass mode. I should just be able to go to channel 3, and the dial should go over to the right, although it is not. So apparently I did miss something there. And I have a note there, never ever flip more than one NDB switch at once. If you do so, you will fry the computer. So luckily, yeah, I just need to, if I switch over to 1 or 2, remember to turn 3 off first. But I have obviously missed something because I'm still guiding on the Krasnodar NDB, and Krasnodar will be coming up just to the left of this water feature. So it's just following the river up from the Krimsk area. So yeah, Krasnodar's right out there. But I was expecting this to be off to my right. Let me play around with it some more, and I will be right back. Okay, and I've got it now. The trick was to go to the correct position on the near far switch. I had it in the near position, I went to the far, or actually no, I had it in the far position, I just went to the near position, and now, yeah, that's about right. 662 would be off to my right, about 60 degrees off of my nose, so that seems reasonable. Now let me turn number 3 off. We'll go back to the near, or actually the far position, and now I'm right back on the inner marker at Krasnodar, which is just a little bit off to my left. Yeah, there's Krasnodar right there. The inner marker, I'm a little bit too... No, I can't see it. Right there, just off the end of the runway. So that's what I'm going to be set up to overfly right now. And then it's just a right-hand turn to 101 for 50 kilometers, and that'll take me over the beacon 312. So I'm going to get overhead this beacon first and then turn right to 101 for 50 kilometers. Okay, so that's easy enough. And I'm not convinced that the near-far feature, I'm not convinced that I necessarily understand exactly what's going on there, because I was sure picking up this inner marker at Krasnodar way further out than I was picking up the one that was out here that I just guided on as channel 3, so I would have expected to have to switch over to the near position right now for Krasnodar, but I can only pick it up on the far position. Maybe it's just, maybe I'm just have got the wrong idea of what it means there, but it's got me confused for now. Well, I've got a ways to go, so I'm sure the answer will occur to me eventually. So it looks like I need to come right just a touch to overfly this thing. Let me see. Yeah, there's the runway right there and the marker, so yeah, that'll take me right down the runway heading. Now it should just be a touch over to the left to get lined back up on the beacon. And I should get the buzzer. I think I'll get the buzzer when I overfly it again, and that'll be my signal to turn right, and I'll also see the needle swing over to 180 just like we did before. So let me trim a little bit nose down. What's my altitude at? My goodness, it's at approaching 7,000 meters, which is, it kind of snuck up on me. I didn't realize I was getting up that high. But as far as fuel consumption, you can see that I'm not even to the point where, okay, I've just started to get the gauge coming down, the gauge off of 1050, so that happened a lot later, obviously, due to the external tanks than it had during the previous missions where you saw that work. Okay, so I've got my needle swinging right now. Well, maybe that was just my imagination, but it should be any second now that I overfly the NDB. There we go. It's starting to swing now. 060, 090, and it's possible that I didn't directly overfly it, and that's why I'm not getting the buzzers. But I know that when it swings, I need to come over to 101 for 50 kilometers, and that will be my next beacon.